Hello friends, and a very warm welcome to Sanjeev Kapoor Khazana, and this is Shailaja. And today I am going to show you how to make a delicious meatloaf. Now traditionally most meatloaves are either made with beef or with lamb, but today's recipe is going to be a chicken meatloaf. That's a much healthier version. And it's one of those recipes that has just a few ingredients, but it has a delicious gravy that goes along with it. So let's take a look at some of the ingredients that we're going to need to make this delicious loaf. Milk, minced chicken, onions, garlic, capsicum, carrots, slice of bread, egg white, Worcestershire sauce, tomato ketchup, dried oregano, pepper, salt, oil, chicken stock, mushrooms, onions, butter, cornstarch. Okay, so let's get started with making our chicken meatloaf. Now I've got some of the minced chicken here, so I'm just going to add that into my mixing bowl. Now there are a couple of tips that I want to share with you that are going to make this chicken meatloaf really moist. What I like doing in this is, rather than using bread crumbs that tend to dry out the loaf, I'm actually going to use just a slice of bread here, and I'm going to actually add some milk into this, so it just soaks up the milk. So we'll just add this right in. Keep this aside for a moment. So that really helps keep the loaf really nice and moist. And the other thing what I like to do is the addition of a couple of vegetables. It could be any simple vegetables that you have at home. I'm going to be actually using some chopped green capsicum and some diced carrots in here, and of course some onion and the minced garlic as well. But you could even say add in peas or different colored peppers or mushrooms if you wish. So what we are going to do is we're going to just first saute the vegetables separately. So I have my pan that's heating, and I'm just going to add in some oil, and I'm just going to add in the onions. So we'll just give this a couple of moments to become like a medium brown would be great. Okay, so onions are looking a nice medium brown. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of the minced garlic to this. It really lends a lovely flavor to this loaf. So I'll just turn this down a little bit, and then we'll add our carrots. Our carrots are finely diced, so they don't really take too long to cook, and these are looking nice and done. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the our green capsicum as well, and then just mix this up. So it's just a light saute here because it will cook further when we add it into the meatloaf as well. So this is looking really nice, and I'm going to turn this off now, and we'll just keep this aside for the moment. So now let's come back to how we're going to form the meatloaf. I've got the chicken here, and our bread has now soaked up some of the milk that we've added. So I'm just going to actually use my hands right here, and I'm just going to gently squeeze out the milk from the bread, and you can just go right ahead and add it into the chicken. And the best technique for mixing this is your hands. So I'm going to go right ahead and mix up the sliced bread and the chicken mince. You need to make sure that both of them combine really well, and then we will further season it with the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to add some oregano and some pepper, and we've got some tomato ketchup and some Worcestershire sauce out here. The Worcestershire sauce really gives it that nice flavor. So a teaspoon of the Worcestershire sauce. Now I'm using ketchup here, but say for instance if you had some pasta sauce lying at home, you could even use some of the pasta sauce into this. It's just to add a little extra flavor in there, and you want to again then just mix this till it looks nice and well combined. And of course we need to season it with a little bit of salt, so I'm just going to go ahead and add the salt in here. Now of course you need some egg in it as well to help bind the loaf. So I have an egg here, I'm just going to use the white, and I've just lightly beating it up a little bit and going to add it into our mixture right here, and again mix this up. So now we have all the meatloaf ingredients combined in here, and we've got our vegetables that we previously sauteed. So they're fairly cool now, and I'm going to add in this here into the mixture. So you just want to mix this up really well. Okay, so this looks good. Okay, now you could use a nice rectangular meatloaf pan just as this is, and what I like to do is just slightly drizzle in a little bit of oil into the baking pan, and I'm just using a pastry brush just to lightly spread the oil around our tin. It just eases out our loaf. When you want to take it out, it will just help ease the loaf out. So this is greased, and I'm going to go right ahead and add our mixture into the loaf tin. And again, you don't want to press it down too hard, so just gently with your fingertips you could just ease it so that it kind of takes the shape of the tin. So that's looking good. And now what I'm going to do is put it right into our oven. I have the oven which I have preheated for about 20 minutes at about 180 Celsius. Now we'll do this baking in 2 steps. So at this stage, before it goes into the oven, I'm just actually going to wrap it in some foil at the top so that it slowly cooks and the moisture stays retained in our meatloaf. So we'll put it this way for about, say, maybe 30 to 35 minutes, and towards the last 10 minutes we'll actually remove the foil so that then it gets that nice brown crust on the top. So this is ready to go into the oven now. So while the meatloaf is baking, we have some time to be able to do up this wonderful gravy that we're going to serve along with the meatloaf. So let me show you how we're going to do this. Heat up our pan out here, and we'll add the butter to it. I'm going to just add the onions to the butter. You just want the onions to be a medium brown, so we'll just cook that in here for a little while, and the mushrooms are going to give it a lovely flavor as well. So we can just turn this up a little bit. So onions are looking a nice medium brown, and I'm going to go ahead and add the chopped mushrooms to it. Now if you wish to have this without the mushrooms, you could just skip the mushrooms and it could be just an onion gravy, but personally I like the gravy to have a little bit of texture, and the mushrooms really do wonders to this. So you just want to again saute this. The mushrooms cook really quickly, so you don't want to cook that for too long. And we'll season this with a little bit of salt and pepper. So that's a little bit of pepper in there, and I'm going to add salt to taste. Now you don't want this to be too salty because our meatloaf in itself has a mixture of the sauces and the salt in there as well. So just a little bit would be great. These mushrooms look fairly cooked. So I'm going to add some chicken stock into this, and you can turn this down to medium and just give it a light stir. Now this would need to simmer for about maybe 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so while our gravy is simmering there. Let me just show you how we're going to just mix up the corn flour. So I'm just taking in the corn flour and I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. And we're going to do this so that we can thicken our gravy, and you just want to mix this up. I'm just going to go ahead and add some of the corn flour to this. So this goes right in, and at this stage you want to keep a watch out on it because the corn flour is obviously going to thicken this up fairly soon. So just keep gently stirring it, and once it thickens we'll then take it off the heat. Okay, so I've got this meatloaf out of the oven and it's looking absolutely delicious, and I just want to show you how you can serve this up. So this is rested for about 15-20 minutes after it came out of the oven, so it's fairly cool. So I just want to gently remove this from the pan. So it just comes out easily because if you remember, we greased our pan really well. So it's almost looking like a cake loaf, and I'm just going to place it onto our serving dish. Now what you could really do is you could even just serve this as a loaf at your dinner table along with the sauce on the side, but I'm just going to go ahead and slice this up a little bit into just about a ½ inch slices, and then we can pour some of that delicious gravy over it. So there you go. So I've just gone ahead and sliced this up, and I've got our gravy here, and I'm just going to add in it into this little container. And what I'm going to do right now is just drizzle some of this delicious mushroom gravy over our meatloaf. And there you go, we have this wonderful chicken meatloaf that's ready, drizzled with the lovely mushroom gravy. I do hope you enjoyed watching this recipe, and do try this out. Thanks very much for watching. So if you like our videos, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay connected and happy cooking.